There are two things that we want to look at when we're evaluating any calf raising program. First of all, we want to evaluate calf health shortly after birth, and second of all, we want to benchmark calf performance from that birth to weaning. When I'm evaluating this calf navel right now, I just want to make sure that the umbilical cord is dry and is still not wet, so that's drying up properly. I also want to make sure that there's not any excess swelling in that navel, indicating that there might be signs of a navel infection. So another aspect that we might do in order to evaluate calf health shortly after birth is to measure calf serum total proteins. So since the calf is born without any maternal antibodies from its mother, the calf must receive its antibodies or immunoglobulins from the colostrum. And in order to tell whether or not that there was successful passive transfer of these antibodies, we must take a blood sample from about 3 to 5 days after birth. And so what you'll do is you'll take a blood sample here from the jugular vein, and sometimes it's easier if you have someone else come in and help you hold the calf. So if you pinch off the vein down below, you should be able to feel the jugular vein here fill with blood, and you just take a blood sample there and you measure the serum total proteins then in the blood. When measuring these, it's important to make sure that the calf is not overly dehydrated, as that will also inflate the serum total protein level. So if a calf has successful passive transfer, then the calf had adequate colostrum intake that was of high quality, and it was timely administered after birth. So the other part of evaluating a successful calf raising program is to benchmark calf weights. And so since not every producer has a scale like we do here, that you can take birth weights and then also weights at weaning at minimum in order to evaluate calf performance, weight tapes are also another viable option. So in order to use a calf weight tape, you must first make sure that the calf is standing squarely on a flat surface. Then what you're going to do is take this weight tape and place it right behind the front shoulders here. Make sure that the tape is not twisted underneath the calf. You're going to want to pull this tight and then let it release and lie right over her back, and you would read the weight. So another thing that we can measure in order to benchmark calf performance is hip height. So in order to take the calf's hip height, we can make sure that the calf is standing on a flat surface with their head raised upright, and all you'll do is take a hip height measuring stick or yardstick, if you do not have a hip height measuring stick, and just take the height at the highest part of the calf's hips. So right along here is where you're going to want to measure. So in this case, this calf is about 32 3/4 inches tall at the hips. And so you probably want to measure this about the same time that you're going to be taking weights. So take measurements at birth and then also at weaning at minimum, even more if possible. And since there are so many differences in genetics and farm growth goals, you want to work with your dairy nutritionist in order to benchmark and set your growth guidelines for your farm. Since there are so many components to a successful calf program, the more often you can monitor calf health and growth, the more successful your calf program will be.